They brought her to us in the dead of night. No announcement, no escorts. Just a silent shuttle, unmarked and old. The kind you'd expect to find rusting in a junk ring somewhere around Triton. It docked with our ship like a parasite. Not a word from command. Just a set of sealed orders, hard-coded into our AI core, and a warning. Open only in isolation. Absolute discretion. I was on shift when they brought the pod aboard. Cold steel, frosted viewport, bio-seal humming low like a heartbeat. No insignia, no markings. Just a single black band painted along the base, the color used for biohazards and lost causes. Captain Reese called an emergency meeting on Deck 3. No lights, no recordings. Just whispered questions and one awful thudding certainty building in our chests. This wasn't salvage. This was something else. He didn't open the pod right away, just stared at it, jaw clenched, like it might explode. The crew gathered around in silence, half of them still in flight suits, a few clutching sidearms like it would help. Dr. Wren scanned the pod first. Her brow furrowed. She scanned again, and again. Her voice was barely more than a whisper. "She's alive." Reese turned slowly. "She?" Wren nodded, swallowing hard. "Genetic structures. Zalith. Partially. There's human in there too, but the core markers are royal tier. I cross-referenced. There's only one match." It hit us all at once. The memory, the footage, that scream across the stars when the Queen's only daughter was reported dead. The war paused that day. A dozen battlefronts fell silent. The Queen herself had gone dark, vanished from all known sectors. Some said she mourned in the void. Others said she died with her daughter. But she didn't. And neither did the girl. We looked at the pod like it was a bomb, because in a way, it was. Reese broke the seal that night. Alone, in medbay, with just Wren and me to witness. We stood by in surgical suits, weapons sealed, hearts pounding. The pod hissed open, steam curling out like breath from the lungs of a ghost. And there she was, lying motionless, arms pinned to her sides with grav cuffs embedded in her wrists, skin like moonlight on water, pale, smooth, inhuman, hair black as void space, tangled and matted. Her chest rose, barely. Then her eyes opened, and for a second, just 1 second, the universe tilted. Silver. Not the silver of metal or glass. No, the silver of something ancient. Alive. Her gaze didn't scan the room like a frightened prisoner. It held us, pinned us, as if we were the ones under observation. Wren dropped her scanner. Reese drew his sidearm, then lowered it just as fast. "No sudden moves," he muttered. She didn't move, didn't blink, just breathed. Shallow, weak, but alive. I stepped forward against every instinct screaming at me. I'm a comms tech, not a soldier. But something in her face. It wasn't anger. It was grief. Deep, hollow, endless. "She's hurt," Wren said quietly, regaining her footing. "Malnourished, cracked ribs, scarring along her neural spine. Someone did this to her." Reese exhaled slowly. "We're not supposed to ask questions." "She's not a weapon," I said. "She's barely hanging on." Reese didn't answer. He just looked at her, and then at the black band on the pod. We moved her to the secure ward. Wren did what she could. Stabilizers, IVs, light therapy. We watched from behind reinforced glass. She didn't speak. Not at first. Not for 2 days. But on the 3rd day, she whispered a name. Not hers. Ours. Humans. It wasn't anger in her voice, or hate. It was awe and fear. We didn't know it yet. Not then. But she wasn't just the Queen's daughter. She was a survivor of something far worse, something even the Zalith were afraid of. And somehow, impossibly, she had come to us. She wouldn't eat. Not at first. Dr. Wren tried everything. Nutrient paste, synthetic hydration, even pheromone-adjusted broths tailored to Zalith biology. But she refused it all. Not violently, not stubbornly, just quietly. Like someone who'd already decided they didn't belong in this world anymore. She sat curled on the bio-bed, eyes half-lidded, head tilted toward the stars beyond the viewport, always staring, always listening. "I don't think she's waiting to be rescued," Wren said once, her voice low. "I think she's waiting to die." We kept her isolated, for her safety, and ours. Reese had the ward under double lockdown, motion sensors, DNA-coded doors, 2 guards at all times. It made no difference. She never even left the bed. Still, something about her presence unsettled the crew. People stopped sleeping. Strange noises echoed through the decks at night, whispers in static, or maybe just tired minds playing tricks. Lights flickered in empty corridors. Doors opened and closed with no one inside. The AI glitched more than usual, and no one wanted to walk near Medbay alone. We weren't superstitious, but even science has its limits. Then, 3 days after her arrival, the dreams began. At first, no one said anything. But then Marcus, our propulsion chief, came into the mess pale as a corpse. "I saw her," he whispered. "In my sleep. She was burning, whole planets behind her, on fire. And she looked right at me. Said we were next." People laughed it off, at first. Until Kara, one of the engineers, stopped speaking altogether. She was found sitting in the engine crawl space, rocking back and forth, eyes wide, hands clutching a maintenance wrench like it was her last tether to reality. "She's not a prisoner," Kara said when we finally got through to her. "She's a warning." That night, Reese doubled security. The next morning, the Queen's daughter spoke to me. I was running diagnostics on the bridge when the alert chimed, a quiet notification that the ward's vocal sensors had triggered. I raced down 2 levels, heart hammering, and keyed in my code. The door slid open with a soft hiss. She was sitting up, awake, watching me. "You're the one who stood closest," she said. Her voice was soft, hollow, but not weak. I froze. She tilted her head slightly. "When they opened the pod, you stepped forward." My throat was dry. "Yes. You weren't afraid. I was terrified." That made her smile, not cruelly, but like someone who hadn't smiled in a long time and wasn't sure how anymore. "I dreamed of humans," she said, "before the fire, before everything." She closed her eyes. Her fingers gripped the blanket tight. "I was supposed to die," she whispered. "And I did. I stepped in, slow. But you didn't." Her eyes opened again. "No, not really. I don't know what I am now, but I'm not her anymore." "Her?" "The Queen's daughter." Silence stretched long between us. "I'm not here to harm you," she said at last, "but something followed me." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Her voice grew softer, more distant. "It wasn't the humans who killed me. Not truly. It was them. The ones from the void between systems. The ones who wait, just outside your perception." I didn't understand. She looked up, eyes shining like frost under starlight. "You call them things like Anomalies, deep space phantoms, AI ghosts. But they're not myths. They're ancient, real, feeding. I shook my head. We would have seen. No, you wouldn't. Not until it's too late. They wear your signals, your reflections. They learn to echo your own voices back at you. You don't recognize the infection until it's already taken root. I took a step back. You're saying one of those things is on this ship? I don't know what it followed. Me, the pod, maybe the war itself, but I know this. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It's awake now. That night, power failed across Deck 4. Emergency lighting kicked in, but the cameras went black. When they came back online, both guards outside her room were gone. No blood, no screams, just 2 rifles on the floor, and the door still sealed shut. We reviewed the footage over and over. At 02:17:41, the guards stood motionless. At 02:17:42, they both looked left. At 02:17:43, they dropped their weapons and walked out of frame. Together. No expression, no hesitation, just gone. The Queen's daughter was still inside, still alone, still sitting. Wren checked her vitals. She didn't move. She didn't do anything. Reese stared at the screen. She didn't have to. We were out of time. 2 crew missing. Dreams turning to hallucinations. Power disruptions spreading like a virus. Wren started running cognitive scans, and the results were chilling. Elevated stress hormones. Neural desynchronization. Spikes in subconscious activity. Brainwave patterns behaving like infected code. Something's inside our minds, she whispered, horrified. Like it's learning us. Reese issued ship-wide lockdown. No one in, no one out. And still, the Queen's daughter, now known only as Sira, sat quietly in her glass cell, hands folded, eyes open, watching, waiting. We should have spaced her. The crew whispered it in corners, in bunks, behind sealed doors. It started as a suggestion, then became a murmur, then a near mutiny. But Reese held the line. She's not the cause, he insisted. She's the warning. I wanted to believe him, but something inside me was starting to crack. Nights blurred, time twisted. I began hearing voices, my father's voice, long dead, calling me by a childhood nickname he'd never spoken aloud. I'd wake gasping, drenched in sweat, feeling watched. Then, one night, I heard her voice. Below. It echoed through the speaker in my bunk. Faint. Just one word. I tried to track it, source it through the system. Nothing. The file didn't exist. I stormed to medbay, barely remembering the corridors I'd walked 100 times. Everything looked wrong, longer than it should have been, lights flickering in unnatural rhythms. Sira was awake, standing. Her hands rested lightly against the glass. You heard it, she said. I nodded, throat dry. You're more sensitive than most. Sensitive to what? To them. Her voice trembled. To the fractures. What fractures? She looked up, her eyes shining silver blue. The cracks in what you think is real. I wanted to argue, to demand logic, proof. But some part of me, the part that had been dreaming in fire and static, already knew. This wasn't about her. It was about us. We tried to kill them, she said. Long ago, before the war, before I was born, the Zalith discovered them, feeding on sentience, not flesh, not bone, but memory, thought. Entire civilizations blinked out of existence, not destroyed, forgotten, erased from the timeline itself. I stepped closer, heart thudding. How do you fight something like that? You don't, not directly. You run, you build barriers, My mother, the queen, struck deals. Locked parts of reality down with ancient constructs. One of them was me. I stared at her. You? My body carried a tether, a seal. When I died, it broke. She exhaled. And now they're coming through again. It clicked, a terrifying puzzle piece falling into place. You let us recover you. I didn't let you, she said softly. I reached for you. You were the only mind still bright enough, still loud enough to notice. Reese called an emergency meeting in the bridge an hour later. By then, 3 more crew members were missing. All had reported hearing echoes before vanishing. Wren presented her data, hands shaking. It's not a virus, she said. It's not biological, it's conceptual. It hijacks attention, manipulates memory. We think we're still in control, but the more we think about it, the deeper it gets in. We were already infected. That's when Reese made the call. We scuttle the ship. Silence. Then chaos. You can't be serious. We've got wounded. There's no proof. There is, Reese snapped. Look at your hands. Look at the clocks. I did. My watch was frozen at 2:17:43, the same time the guards disappeared. Everyone's was. Time wasn't just broken. It was repeating, resetting. We were stuck in a feedback loop, a recursive moment being fed on like a caged animal, while the rest of the galaxy rolled on unaware. We have to break the loop, Reese said. Overload the reactor, burn out the tether. But what about her? I asked. Sira? She's the only one who knows how deep this goes, Wren added. She dies, Reese said, jaw tight. We all do. We can't let it spread to Earth. I ran to her cell before the order came down. She was already waiting. You're going to destroy the ship, she said calmly. Reese thinks it'll break the loop. It might. That's not comforting. She touched the glass. I can go deeper, into the anomaly. I can pull the infection into me. It's not strong enough yet to resist. But I won't come back. I stared at her. No, I whispered. We can find another way. There isn't one. I was designed for this. My death was supposed to be the key, but I didn't die. Not fully. You gave me that. She smiled. Sad, warm, infinite. You gave me a second chance. Let me give you one too. I couldn't breathe. Why us? I asked. Why humanity? Because, she said, you're loud. You're chaotic. You love like fire and mourn like oceans. You remember, even when it hurts. Her hand pressed against the glass. That's what they hate most. Outside, alarms began to scream. Reese had triggered the countdown. Sira turned to me. I'm ready. And in that moment, I believed her. The reactor countdown had begun. 15 minutes until core overload. The Starward Mercy would be atomized, erased from orbit, along with whatever had infected it. I ran back to the bridge. Alarms screamed. Red lights pulsed through the corridors like a mechanical heartbeat. And yet, the ship felt eerily still, too still. No crew in the halls, no chatter on comms, just echoes, as if the vessel were already empty. Reese stood at the command console, fists clenched, jaw locked. She agreed to go in, I said, breath ragged. She wants to contain it. She thinks she can, he snapped, not looking at me. But we can't risk the chance that she's wrong. You've seen what's happening. She's our only chance. I stepped forward. She's not the enemy, Captain. She's the shield. She always was. His eyes were red, sleepless, wounded. I buried too many good people on too many broken moons, he said. I won't risk Earth on a hunch. Then a sound cracked across the ship. Not metal, not engine. A scream. It came from every speaker, every console, every datapad. A layered, distorted shriek. One voice, 1,000 voices. Not human, not Zalith, but something older. Something wrong. Wren's voice cut through the comms, panicked. It's breaking through. We ran. By the time we reached medbay, the lights were dead. Backup power flickered like a strobe, and Sira was no longer in her cell. Instead, There was a rift. A jagged black fracture, suspended mid-air, not a portal, not a hole, but a wound in space itself. Around it, glass warped, gravity bent. The temperature dropped fast enough to mist our breath. Sierra stood in front of it, alone. "No further," she said, without turning. Ren moved to speak, but Sierra raised one hand. They're listening now, watching. And suddenly, we saw it. Within the rift, movement, shadow shapes, fluid and shifting, faces forming and unforming, images stolen from our minds, people we knew, things we feared, memories long buried. I saw my mother calling my name. I saw myself, older, colder, wearing Reese's captain badge. And then I saw nothing. A blank. A place where my memory should have been, but wasn't. That was when I understood. They didn't just erase civilizations, they erased the idea of them. "Go," Sierra said softly. "You have to leave. All of you." "We're not leaving you," I said. She turned to me, and for the first time, she looked human, not in body, in pain. "I've carried this thing my whole life," she whispered. "It burned through every wall the Zalith built. My mother thought she could contain it with biology, but it feeds on awareness, on memory. You've already seen too much." Ren stepped forward. "There has to be a way to anchor you, maybe with neural sync. It'll pull you in too," Sierra said, "one by one, until no one remembers why they came aboard this ship at all." Behind her, the rift pulsed. Dark matter spiraled around it, dragging light inward like water down a drain. Reese raised his sidearm. "You're sure you can hold it?" Sierra nodded. "If you cut the ship's power, sever the loop. The countdown, don't destroy the ship," she said. "Isolate it. Put it on blackout drift. No signals, no rescue. Let it vanish, and take me with it." Reese hesitated, his eyes locked with mine. "She's right," I said. "We came out here to stop a war. Now we found something worse. We have to trust her." Reese lowered the weapon, and then he turned. "Evac protocol," he barked into his comm. "Everyone to shuttles. Launch vectors plotted for silent return. No logs, no data. We scrub everything." "What about the loop?" I asked. "I'll stay behind," he said. My heart dropped. "Captain, someone has to kill the signal, initiate blackout, manual override. You'll need every second to get clear." Sierra smiled at him. "You are brave." He gave a dry laugh. "I'm just tired." We ran. The rift grew louder behind us, not with noise, but with memory. Voices calling, lives unlived, futures that never existed. Every step toward the escape bay felt like walking against time itself, like reality was fighting to keep us in. The shuttle launched with seconds to spare. Through the viewport, I saw the starward Mercy drift slowly away, lights dimming, engines cold. No signal, no trace, just a hollow in space, and then even that was gone. Syra, gone. Reese, gone. But Earth was safe, and I remembered. That was the key. I remembered. We drifted for hours in silence. No one spoke, not at first. The shuttle's lights were dimmed, engines on silent vector. We had no contact with command, no guidance systems, just deep space and the fading memory of a ship, and the two souls who chose to vanish with it. Ren sat beside me, eyes fixed on the dark beyond the viewport. "She was a child," she whispered. I nodded. "And still, she chose." "Like a soldier," I said. "No." Ren shook her head. "Better." We returned to Earth 7 days later. Not as heroes, not as survivors. Just witnesses. The Starward Mercy was officially logged as lost. A systems failure. Reactor collapse during de-escalation patrol. Classified top to bottom. No one spoke of rifts, or entities, or echoes in the dark. But we remembered. That was the real battle, we learned. Not against flesh or ships, but against forgetting. There were moments, even then, when it began to slip. When names faded, timelines blurred, a blankness pressing in at the corners of memory like frost on glass. But we fought it. Ren wrote everything down. Diagrams, symbols, DNA models. She etched the knowledge into code and bone and data vaults buried a mile beneath lunar rock. I took another path. I told stories, quiet ones, hidden in fiction, coded in novels, in interactive sims, in bedtime tales told to the next generation, about a girl who wasn't human, but who saved us all the same. Most dismissed them as myth. That was fine. The real ones always are. I remember the last thing she said to me. You love like fire. You remember even when it hurts. I think about that a lot now, especially today, because today, I saw something. I was walking the outer edge of the Kepler Memorial Gardens, the place they built for the crew we lost. There's no wreckage, of course, just names etched into a wall of light-reactive steel. You have to stand at the right angle to read them. Reese is there. So is Marcus. Kara. 17 others who vanished into silence. But there's a blank spot, just empty space, where her name should be, where Syrah should be. And today, for the first time, I saw it. Only for a second, like a shimmer, like the air itself was whispering. But there it was, her name, etched in frostlight, and beside it, a symbol, not human, not Zalith, something older, something watching. I froze. The wind around the garden was dead calm, but I heard a voice, soft as breath on glass. Still loud, still bright. And then, nothing. But the moment stayed, the memory anchored, and I knew. She was still holding the line. Somewhere, in the fracture between realities, she stood alone. The Queen's dead daughter, the living seal, the forgotten guardian. And she remembered us, because we remembered her. That's who we are. Humanity isn't just strength or defiance or fury. It's memory. It's mourning. It's holding on, even when time itself tries to take it away. And if that thing ever rises again, if the rift reopens, we'll be ready, because she taught us how, because we love like fire, and we remember, even when it hurts.